Today, we are diving into a botanical mystery that is truly one for the books. We're talking about a plant that seems to have a secret identity, one that can change its appearance pretty much whenever it wants. So, let me just ask you this. Can a plant have a secret identity? I know, it sounds like something straight out of a spy movie, right? But deep in the forests of South America, there's a vine that has mastered the art of camouflage to a degree that is, well, it's almost unbelievable.
So, let me introduce you. At first glance, this is Boquila trifoliolata. It's a woody, climbing vine, and you'll find it in the temperate rainforests of Chile and Argentina. For the local Mapuche people, it's known as VOCs, and it's super useful for making baskets and even in traditional medicine. But for scientists, it's a complete and total puzzle.
So, what is it that makes this plant so incredibly special? Well, it all comes down to its incredible ability to change its appearance, which has earned it a pretty cool nickname, the chameleon vine. Now, this isn't just your garden variety camouflage. We're talking about a phenomenon called mimetic polymorphism. And while some insects, like butterflies, can do this, Boquila is the only plant on the entire planet that we know of that can mimic multiple different species, sometimes on the very same vine, all at the same time.
And this mimicry, it goes way beyond just a simple color change. It's a total physical transformation, which really makes this plant a true master of disguise.
I mean, just look at this list. The vine can alter almost every single aspect of its leaves. It can change their size, their shape, their color, even the direction they're pointing, all to match the host plant it's climbing. It can even copy complex vein patterns and the length of the leaf stalks. It's wild.
And just to put this into perspective for you, the vine can produce leaves that are up to 10 times larger than its normal non-mimicking form, what scientists kind of playfully call its charlatan leaf. Now that is a staggering amount of physical change for any organism, let alone a plant.
This table really just shows how adaptable it is. For example, when it's climbing a spiny shrub called Raphathamnus spinosus, the vine does something absolutely incredible. Its own leaves grow sharp, spiny tips. That's a feature it doesn't even naturally have. So far, it's been seen mimicking over 20 different species, which tells us it has this dynamic, generalized ability to just respond to whatever's around it. But here's where it gets really, really weird. This is the most baffling part. How does it know what to copy? Back in 2014, researchers Ernesto Giannoli and Fernando Carrasco Urra discovered that the vine doesn't even need to touch the host tree. Just being close by is enough to start the transformation. So naturally, this raises the million-dollar question. How is it doing this? Scientists have come up with a few theories, but you know what? Each one of them has its own set of pretty big problems. Okay, so the first big idea is that it smells its neighbors. It detects these airborne chemicals called volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. But while plants definitely use VOCs for things like warning each other of danger, we've never seen them trigger such precise physical changes in shape and structure. The other main theory is something called horizontal gene transfer, where tiny microbes might be carrying DNA from the host over to the vine. But that process usually takes generations, not the rapid-fire changes we see happening in a single plant. So, with all the conventional theories kind of falling short, some scientists turn to a much more radical idea, one that honestly sounds like science fiction, but it's being seriously looked into. Yeah, when you run out of the usual explanations, you have to start thinking outside the box. And that's exactly what researchers Jacob White and Felipe Yamashita did. They proposed something revolutionary. What if the plant isn't smelling or borrowing genes? What if it's seeing? To put this wild idea to the test, they designed a really clever experiment. They had the vine climb a support structure, but just above it, they placed a fake plastic plant. This setup is brilliant because it completely eliminates any possibility of chemical signals or gene swapping. All that's left is light and shape. And the results were, well, they were just astonishing. The Boquila leaves actually began to change. They got longer and narrower, shifting their aspect ratio to match the elongated plastic leaves. But even more amazing, their internal structure changed. They developed a significantly lower vein density, as if they were trying to replicate the featureless plastic. A plant mimicking plastic? It's just incredible. Now, of course, this is very far from being settled science. Critics have pointed out that the experiment might have some environmental biases. For instance, the shelves they used could have created different light and temperature conditions, and that alone can affect how a leaf grows. And then there's the biggest hurdle.
We just don't know of any biological mechanism that would let a plant take a visual input and then translate that into a complex physical shape.
So where does all this leave us? Well, we're in this fascinating spot where we have a plant doing something that seems completely impossible, and all of our explanations are either incomplete or, incredibly controversial. And this is a very new and very active area of research. I mean, the whole phenomenon was only scientifically described about a decade ago. Since then, we've seen new evidence for the gene transfer idea, then that provocative plant vision paper, and just this year, it got a very special kind of award.
Yep, in 2024, White and Yamashita were awarded the Ig Nobel Prize for Botany. This prize is awesome. It honors research that, on the surface, might seem quirky or even funny, but which really challenges our assumptions and makes us think deeply about the world. And Boquila definitely does that.
And that really brings us to this final thought. We still don't know if this plant is smelling or borrowing genes or seeing its world. But the fact that it can perceive and then replicate an artificial, man-made object, that forces us to question our very definitions of sensing, of perception, and maybe even of intelligence itself. What else are we missing in the silent, green world all around us?